Hello, the Bach Choir is performing Mahler's incredible Eighth Symphony in St Paul's Cathedral, London on October the 9th, in the presence of Gustav Mahler's granddaughter, Marina Mahler. And we're delighted that you've joined us here today. Um, we're really excited about performing this work, and we'll talk about that soon, Marina. But before we do that, are other things that you'd like to share about your family?
Well, that's a sort of big thing, but maybe I will tell you my favorite story about my grandfather, as I think that was the beginning of his being a kind of conduit. And so he was a little boy, and his father was taking him for a walk through the woods, going somewhere purposefully. And they got into the woods, deep into the woods, and he suddenly remembered he'd forgotten an appointment. So he said to the little boy, Gustav, just sit under that tree and don't move, and I'll be back. Just don't move at all, and I'll be back soon. So he went to his appointment, completely forgot that he'd left Gustav under the tree. And suddenly he went back hours and hours later and found this little boy, not the least bit phased, not frightened, totally in a kind of dream, absorbed in the sounds of the woods. He hadn't moved from where he was told not to move from, but he was completely immersed in it. And my feeling is that when he called himself, he said, you might call me the singer of nature. If you call Mozart the singer of love, and at a respectful distance, you could call me the singer of nature. I think it all began when he was very, very small, in those woods.
That's really absolute. I'm so fascinated by that because I've always had a huge love of your grandfather's music, and we know that it's completely connected with nature and humanity, and the aspect of us being able to observe it from that point of view and absorb it and then respond to it, of course, which he's done um, so marvelously through his compositions. And difficult to choose, but do you have particular favorite pieces of his?
Yes, I do. Though I have to say that whenever I hear a piece, then after I've heard it, right after, that becomes the one that I love, but I love them all. But I have a particular weakness and love for the Sixth Symphony and the 10th. But I think it's where it hits you and why. And I find the Sixth to be very otherworldly and not so catastrophic as everybody puts it, but so truthful.
I remember hearing the 10th for the first time in a completion, actually, and I don't know what you feel about those. I think it was by Derek Cook, is that right?
Yeah.
And Simon Rattle, I think, was the conductor, and again, blown away by it. But do you feel that kind of, if you like, addition to the work that others have made is necessary? Or
I think it's important. Anybody who wants to can go back to the manuscript itself and see what was exactly written by Mahler.
it's interesting, isn't it? Because the two other pieces that come to mind to me are, of course, Mozart's Requiem and um, Bach's Out Fugue, actually, that suddenly stops as his pen isn't able to move anymore. And funnily enough, in that one, as a keyboard player, people haven't really tried to extend it. And sort of glad. I rather like it when I hear someone just peter out. That's the
Yeah.
but I totally get the idea that people can bring something which is personal and expressive, and probably with thanks and gratefulness. For Marina, what do you think it makes your grandfather's music still so influential? I mean, so influential.
Because he doesn't spare anything, neither joy nor sorrow. And it goes right to the center of truths, Truth is very overwhelming whenever you see it, whether it's in nature, see a sunset, it's always different. And I mean, there is something about it that it releases a huge wave of recognition, remembrance, sorrow, joy, past, inklings of future. I mean, it suddenly opens worlds inside each person.
But he somehow managed to absolutely know his roots. His destiny was to be giving this to humanity into the future, and of course, in a way, that feeds into the whole business of hearing Mahler's Eighth Symphony. The big well,
Oh, it's extraordinary.
it is extraordinary, isn't it?
It is extraordinary. I always want to have 1,000 people on the stage because I want it to blare out and be as big as it can and reach as far out and have thousands and thousands of people listening.
We're fitting as many as we can into St Paul's Cathedral.
How many you getting?
Well, I think we'll probably have around 350 or so, or 400, but it's in total with the orchestra and everyone else.
So it'll be
Yeah.
wonderful. It depends on, well, like everything, on that moment of the beginning and then
Yeah.
it depends.
How do you feel when you hear your grandfather's music?
I feel vastly, vastly relieved, and sort of it confirms me in all my childhood dreams, if you like, about what life is about. So for me, it's like a complete opening out. What happens if you're under a night sky, under a waterfall? I mean, the huge things that happen in nature. It's a relief to know that that kind of truth and beauty exists, and that it can touch you at the core of your being, because we need to be, so that we can grow and we can give back in some way something else. Life is not just about, it's not about listening, it's about um, taking everything in and then creating your own response to this, in whichever form it takes. And the things that dig deeper make you able to give more.
Do you know that's so lovely to hear, because to a conductor, it's receiving and then giving, and that encapsulates it all.
Yes.
Do you think that in a way, I mean, okay, so the famous, which I've talked about actually separately, the Adagietto from the Fifth, the string moment. Uh, do you think that that extraordinary outpouring of love for Alma was a way of expressing himself almost beyond what he could ever show in a human emotion, or was that just an extension of him in a sense? Or
Well, I would say that it's the greatest gift he could give her. She was also a musician and had been a composer until he said no, which was a mistake, and he understood later what a big mistake. But I think that that was his way of living. That was his way of loving.
and it shows the depth of his love.
I mean, it was absolutely extraordinary. You only have to look at the manuscript of the 10th with all the things that he wrote in it. You have to look at that. With all the things, to live for you, to die for you, my Amshi, and so forth. It was a vast thing, but it went beyond the personal. That's why it was so very big. That's the thing about it. It went beyond personal grief or personal sorrow or personal upset or even personal joy. It went into the universal. It went into the world feeling, the sort of sky opening thing that and that's what draws people, because that's what they need.
So all of those wonderful thoughts, Marina, is surely part of the reason you're keeping your grandfather's legacy so alive through the marvelous foundation you've set up. Is that, that must be a wonderful thing to be doing.
Well, it's somehow a kind of responsibility, because if one sees the direction that our world is going, it could have gone so differently, but it isn't. Terribly worrying. And I do have the feeling that all the arts are somehow responsible, and also can do something to reach out and to reach people on a different level, but not lecture, not tell, but to somehow make things seem bigger. This is the thing about Mahler. It's huge and it makes for huge emotions. And it's what we need now because people have to rethink their lives. It's in relation to climate change, a big thing. I made that. Also, there is the Mahler and Lewitt Studios, which we do in Spoleto, which has been going since earlier than the Mahler Foundation, and we're sort of linked to many places in the world, and we have residencies with all the arts together, including music. And we do them sort of around subject matter, and it's a very interesting thing. It's called mahler-lewitt.org. And then you
Wow.
can see it. And then this my house, Casa Mahler, casamahlerspoleto.com. And then there is Songs of the Earth. I started a project which is called Songs of the Earth, which is not the Song of the Earth, but Songs of the Earth, to reach out that people should make their own Song of the Earth, whatever art they happen to practice. And we've done some very exciting new projects around that. And my purpose now is to somehow link them worldwide and make it bigger and make it a sort of, film is very important. It's the art of our time. And it's a way we have to reach out as well, along with music. And so we're working with people like, it's, so it's symphonic cinema, something in the Netherlands. And they've done The Echo of Being on Mahler, but they're doing other things as well. And I'm working with artists, not just musicians, but people who work together. And we've got a wonderful group growing, and a lot of young people, a lot of young artists as well, because I feel that we can do something. And we have to, when I say wake up call, I mean wake up call in a big way, but not in a lecturing way. People won't listen, and they don't listen, and they have no time. You need to stun them with beauty and with truth.
And absolutely. And of course, there's no shortage in the world of aspiring conductors, but also amazing orchestras. I mean, all the orchestras or anyone in the world are playing all of your grandfather's symphonies.
Fantastic.
So, Marina, could you just tell us a little bit about the Mahler conducting competition?
Well, I would truly love to because it means a great deal to me. And I formed it together with Ernest Fleischmann and Paul Müller with the Bamberg Symphony, who have been infinitely generous to us, as has the city. And they gave me a most wonderful award, and they've named, one of the rooms in the concert hall the Mahler room, and it has been wonderful from the word go. And we began it, and our first winner was Gustavo Dudamel, quite extraordinary. And I'll never forget when he won, he said, Marina, I must ring my maestro. And then he rang Venezuela. So, said it was really very, very wonderful. And Ernest Fleischmann, after the performance of the Mahler one, which was, we began with the Mahler one at that time, he said afterwards, it's a tear down his cheek, he said, once in a generation. He was very, very moved. But each time we've had it, every 3 years, we've heard the most wonderful array of young conductors, and we, even when some of them then are, it narrows down to 3 usually, and then 2 and 1, but they stay with us right the way through. They make friends. It's very important that they don't leave then, but that we embrace them, and that we stay in touch, because there's so many that are wonderful in different ways. And it's like having a huge sort of family, musical family.
1,000 thanks for your wonderful insight.
It was so nice to speak with you, and I look forward to hearing you and meeting you.
And me too. And just to say to anyone who's listening to this, and what a wonderful conversation, and what a privilege it has been for me to talk with Marina.
Well, for me too, it's a privilege to talk to you and to talk about these things, because these are the things that matter.
Absolutely. And we will try and get to the core of what really matters on October the 9th. The performance will take place in St. Paul's Cathedral with the Bach Choir, the Philharmonic Orchestra, an amazing array of soloists, and in the presence of Marina Mahler. Thank you.
Bye.